I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about the paper tags of the Covington era and address all the questions that arise about them pretty frequently all in one place. I'd also like to talk about the assemblers who adhered them to the insides of the drum and put their maker's mark on them, and then finally the list that's been compiled to use these tags to date your drums. The first tags to come out of Covington in the mid-50s read "Made in the USA by Joseph Rogers, Incorporated." These were used until around 1957 when replaced by the more recognizable tag that read "Made in the USA by Rogers." Some tags were blanks with the model number typed in, like this Power Tone and Holiday. These tags wouldn't fall into the sequence of the dating list compiled. And all of the early Dynasonics with paper tags that I've seen have been type-ins as well. The cross-out type-in tag would happen when the tag for the model needed wasn't available, so one model name would be crossed out and the one needed would be typed in. None of the type-in tags will fall into the known dating sequence or can be dated with any sort of accuracy when using the guide I'll mention in a bit, but there are many aspects of any drum that will help date it beyond just the serial number. Slightly later, the cross-out write-in becomes pretty common to see. Things can get really confusing when you see a Cleveland tag on a Zolatone interior drum. This is simply a leftover tag from the Covington factory that made its way to Dayton, or possibly even Fullerton. No Zolatone interiors ever came out of Covington. I've personally spoken to 3 former employees of the Covington factory who have confirmed this for me. Only gray came out of Covington. Another thing that confuses some is a Dayton tag on a gray interior. The reason you see this is because when CBS purchased Rogers in 1966, they moved the business headquarters to Dayton but left production in Covington until 1968 when they moved all assembly to Dayton, Ohio. And that's when you start to see the Zolatone, aka speckled interior. Here's a look into the assembly room in Covington, where the drum assembler would glue these tags to the interior of the drum, many of which would leave their maker's mark on the tag, like this RLS by Richard Studebaker. The EM of Esther Martin, whose main job, I'm told, was assembling beaters and whistles, etc., but would come down to help out in drum assembly just as many would when it got busy. This R had been a bit of a mystery for a while, but I was told by my late friend Jerry Shields that it is the mark of Ralph Johnson. One of the premier assemblers in the Covington factory was Frank Walter Sr. On a very rare occasion, Frank would mark his tags with an FW, but for the most part, you'll just see that famous F. An LU on your tag would have been written by Lou Ellen Minnick. An S in the corner of your tag is the mark of this man right here, named Authy Shields. This H is the mark of John Harmon, whose main department in the factory was in the purling room, but early on he did quite a bit of assembling. After that, he'd spend many years purling drums, so there's a good chance that your drum was wrapped by John. Post-Covington, the tags for a time looked the same. That is up until when this borderless tag was introduced. And for a short period, this green ink tag in Fullerton, California. And then, of course, the smaller 972 tag. I hope you've enjoyed just a little bit of information about these Rogers interior paper tags. I do want to mention a dating guide compiled and researched by Kelly Smith that I will link below that will help you date your Rogers drums using these very tags that we discussed today. You can also find this guide on the Rogers Drums USA and Covington Drummers Facebook pages. Thanks for watching.